After Resident Evil 1 and 2 made survival horror mainstream, it was time for one last hurrah on the original PlayStation. Enter Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the conclusion to the Raccoon City Saga. Is the city worth revisiting, or are you better off not meeting its inhabitants? As Jill Valentine, you will try to escape the now destroyed Raccoon City. That isn't as simple as it sounds though, since the city is teeming with the undead and there's a giant monster searching for survivors known as Nemesis. There isn't as much story here as in the previous games, with most important events having taken place in the previous games. That's not to say that there aren't some interesting twists in the game, but overall the story is nothing special. The gameplay is almost completely identical to previous entries. You can't move while attacking and supplies are scarce. Every once in a while you'll have to complete a puzzle to progress, which typically involves using the right item in the right place. Saving can only be done at typewriters, and even then you'll need ink ribbons, which are in limited supply. Two new additions are present here though, crafting and dodging. While in previous games you could combine green herbs with red herbs to strengthen their healing potential threefold, you can now also craft bullets out of gunpowder. There are two types of gunpowder, A and B. Simply combining any of these with the reloading tool will give you pistol or shotgun ammo, but the real trick is combining these together until you can get different, superior ammo types. Combining two type A's with one type B will result in a stock of shotgun ammo, with further more complicated combinations resulting in more and better ammo. It doesn't fundamentally change the way you play, as traditional ammo pickups are still present, but the fact that you can craft whichever ammo you want is actually a neat addition. Dodging is a long overdue addition, as previously it was impossible despite the characters not being cripples. Unfortunately, it flat out does not work. An evasive maneuver is only initiated if you press the right button at the right time, and since enemies rarely telegraph their attacks or give you more than a split second to dodge, you'll often just try to keep a distance, much like in the previous games. Unfortunately, some encounters feel made with dodging in mind, and since it rarely works, the results are quite frustrating, to say the least. Of course, there's also Nemesis, the big bad on the cover and in the game's name. He just shows up out of the blue to fuck your shit up, and if you aren't ready for him, well, tough shit. It wouldn't be so bad if you had some room to maneuver or if dodging worked properly, but that simply isn't the case here. Another issue is the game's difficulty. There are only two modes, easy and hard. On easy you get a ton of rations and the M4 from the very beginning, but you can't unlock the special weapons dropped by defeating Nemesis, as he doesn't drop them. On hard, you take more damage, crafting yields fewer resources, and ink ribbons are in short supply. It's just a shame there's no middle ground for regular players. Luckily, you can extend your playtime significantly with the Mercenaries Mode. In fact, if you make it to the end, you will be rewarded with some cash, and if you have enough, you can spend it on an infinite ammo weapon for the main game. While a challenge, completing the mode makes the main game more manageable, and given that Nemesis is a tough customer, it's a good idea to at least unlock the M4. Visually, Resident Evil 3 is a mixed bag. While it squeezed every drop from the original PlayStation, the same can't be said about the PC version. Character models are arguably worse than in Resident Evil 2, whereas the environments and animations actually look good, at least with the Resident Evil 3 enhancement mod. The number of zombies is also overwhelming, though that's actually a bad thing given the tight environments. Resident Evil 3 is still survival horror, but its misguided attempts to focus on action only drag down the experience, and the fact that it was released in 2001 for the PC 2 years after the PlayStation version doesn't help either. When it sticks to its guns and focuses on intimate encounters with no more than 2 or 3 zombies, it's just as good as the other games, but unfortunately it only does that half the time. Ultimately, Resident Evil 3 is aimed at series fans or veterans, and while you will get your fill from the game, it's unquestionably the least accomplished of the Raccoon City Saga.